Hey everybody, this is our Carolina wrap-up video. We had a little bit of an up and down sort of weekend. I was pretty happy with the dressage. I think we were in a competitive place afterwards, and if the show jumping had gone kind of our way, then we would have been in a pretty competitive place going into the cross country. I certainly think we're on the right track. I haven't really put too much pressure on them on the flat this year. I've just been mostly focusing on trying to do whatever I'm going to do without having to hassle them too much. I think that's just kind of been my game plan through the winter, has been to basically not kick him too hard and save my legs for when I really need it in the competition. I haven't been riding with spurs, and just trying to get him a little bit more of a self-starter, but certainly haven't been asking for the maximum that he can give. And I think probably as a result, I think he was possibly a little flat in the dressage. He scored well, and was, like I said, he was competitive. If the jumping phases were a little bit better, he would have been right up there. But I think it could have been better, and I think it will be better. Another thing that can have, or two other things that can play into that, is that we've been really loading him up on the fitness work, but not the collection work so much. So one, he might be a little bit underfit collection wise, and at the same time still possibly leaden-legged. It'd be like if you were running, and you were running a ton of miles, and then you had to go and squat something, and your legs were already tired, but you weren't exactly squatting fit. So I think that's probably the best way I could describe it. But we'll work on it, and he'll get those collection muscles stronger. I think it's now is that time of the year. We've competed at the top level now. We can kind of see where our strengths and weaknesses are, which is one of the great advantages of competing, is it kind of tells you where your training's at. I think it'll help us to focus and make those weaknesses strengths. But apart from that, he did his normal workman-like test. This is actually the test that he does not normally score as well with, and that's mostly because he does very good walk pirouettes, but he does not do good halts. It's a balance issue, and it's a forward issue. So a horse has to stay forward into halt, and as a place where Frank's desire not to go forward kind of plays against him, because he kind of drops behind me a little bit in the down transitions like he did there. Whereas in the walk pirouettes, even though it's a collection exercise, it's something that, because he's relaxed, I can ride him very forward in, and it's something a lot of horses don't do very well, and he does do them very well. So it's a place where I generally pick up points on other people, and this test doesn't have them. The other thing is they have the flying changes across the center line, which is a little challenging, but he did it pretty well this time. So unfortunately, our unfortunate phase was the show jumping, and again, it's kind of a little hard to say what the reasoning is. I think
on the score 31.9 from dressage.
I can adjust my ride a little bit. I was riding him a little bit defensively, because I was thinking with all the tents and everything, he might be a little spooky. I don't think he was actually as spooky as I thought he might be, but I was riding a little bit defensive to make sure that he didn't do anything, pull anything cheeky on me. And I think sometimes he just kind of holds his body a little bit if I ride him like that. But having said that, I thought they were all fairly innocuous rails. And then again, with what I said in the dressage, possibly, I mean, we haven't jumped this height yet this year. It's been quite a while. Normally when we train at about intermediate height. We don't train at max height. But again, every time you jump big, you're taking a toll on your horse, but you're also building muscles. So perhaps just not building those muscles. We haven't been building those muscles this year the way that he needed it for them to be, and I think possibly he's just feeling a little bit of lactic
New
acid
starters
in his
out on
legs.
course. Daniel Classing,
And
MW Gangsters
what we have
Game,
been focusing
coming in
on
in
has
32nd
been
place
his
on a
fitness
scored
and
date
his
of
galloping in particular.
52.7.
And I would have to say, we had great conditions. It was cold. The footing was good. Which all played into our hands, especially after the show jumping. It took us out of
Bit surprised
being
by
in
this.
competitive
Doug Payne
contention,
picking
but
up
it also
5.2 on the clock.
having 5
Giving him a
rails, it
scored a date
takes
of
you out of
37.2.
the competition. No longer acts as a qualifier,
Seemed to
which
take
we always
a few
have
more
to
tugs at some of the jumps
keep
than we
accumulating
normally
over
see from
time
him.
because they all expire, and also
through there.
for MERs it makes a difference for other events in the future, not only with Frank but other
One
horses
left here
too.
for Zoe
The
and
more
Zara.
MERs you have, the less qualifiers
Now
you
to
need
the
with other
final jump.
horses. So
Southeast Farm Equipment.
those are always important to pick up. So unfortunately, that last rail kept this from being
Daniel
a
Classen
MER
at the
qualifier.
beginning of his course.
So essentially, going out of the start box is kind of like you're going out just
that
for
was a flyer. Oh
for a
goodness, and she does
cross-country
that in
school over
4.
a
She
very
might want
large
to
course.
back on track at the 5.
And I think
And then the 5
given
out.
that, kind
That's a
of
bit
trying
of a
to
very busy,
trying
tricky
to
line.
get your blood
Because
up
if
as
you
opposed
come
to just
off
being
that
up. I thought the
cuff or
cross
that,
country went about as well as
ditch
it could
too
have.
big, you are going
I
to fly
was
down to that
20 some seconds
oxygen.
over the time,
you can
which
tell, I mean, it's
under
a
the
busy
circumstances,
section,
I thought
but
was
it's
actually
not a
pretty
massive
good.
problem, 'cause
You
we've
know,
seen it-
under those kind of
we've seen it done
circumstances,
in any number of
you
strides,
tend to
and
see
it
people
works
going,
out as long as you keep
maybe
riding
with
to
twice
the
as many
next
time
jump.
penalties as
We've
that,
seen
but
some people vomit over
it doesn't
that
really
container
serve
up
our
there.
purposes
We've
very
seen
well.
some
I think,
flyers, and it still works.
from a
it's
goal
a
standpoint,
sign of a good course.
you're going out saying, I want to add to my horse's fitness, and I also want to add
Daniel
to my
getting to
horse's
make his way
confidence, so
now
I don't
down
want
to
to go
the
so
Atwood
fast
Hollow.
that I have rough, uncomfortable jumps. Save that for
I would say probably
save
the very
that for the most
first
important event you have.
true
When you
question
have
on
to
this-
when you
on
have to
this
go
course.
and make it a little bit
The mounds at 4
ugly
are
and get
tricky,
it done
but they're a
and
bit
get
more
it done
just kind of
quickly.
an
Save
obedience
that for when it
question.
really
and
matters, and
straightness,
that
but
wouldn't have been this
confidence
weekend.
And it's
pretty
built on a
solid.
very forward
But I think
slide.
probably the most
The
important thing
takes
of
a
this
lot of
weekend
jumping.
is it.
the rail going in
I think
is
we
tall,
did enough to
the
say,
the
you know what, I
spacing
think it's
is
probably time
not
to
tight,
enter
but
Kentucky. So we've done
it's
that.
a little
We
bit
sent in the entry
claustrophobic
last
in there.
night,
You have to stay
and
absolutely straight.
I think
And the C element is black
even
flag,
though we've
so if
had
they were to have a
we've
problem
had
at
some
that skinny,
bobbles
they
over the
do have
last
the
2 years, I
option to
think
turn back around
Frank's
to the
going as
left.
well as he's gone.
As well as if they do
And,
make it quite
and
obvious,
this
they do not
event
have to
is
jump that
the
skinny on
biggest
the outs. It's obviously much more
course,
time-consuming.
biggest cross-country
I don't
course
think
on the
that's
spring
anyone's
calendar,
complaint,
and it
but
is
it's nice that you do have
one
an
of
option there if
the
things go
biggest
awry.
Kentucky preps, for people that are serious about going to Kentucky.
Well,
And I
you've come all
thought,
this way, done all this work.
I think
even if you
he
have
just
a
did go
silly
around it
glance
very
off,
easily. I don't think anything
you'd like
was
to be able to
too
keep
much of a
going
challenge
and
for
at least
him.
get the
And then,
experience in, get the experience
Kentucky's going to be bigger for sure,
Looks like
but
this thing is a running
from
jumping machine.
Yes.
Wow,
like
I am
these are the
impressed.
biggest jumps for any of the prep runs.
It looks like
and,
a lot of fun. You can see the horses really galloping in a nice uphill balance.
I think
This might
I
be
think
part
he
of the
handled the
reason that not so
questions as
many
well as
people are
anybody
making the
else that's
time,
on the
because they're really
Kentucky
swinging
entry
wide
list
and
right
really
now. So
setting up here.
I'm feeling pretty
Again,
happy
the
about
ground
that,
drops
and
way to the right, more so
we'll
than
just
you
keep
think. It's a bit tricky, but
hammering
she
away
did a
with
really
the
good
fitness.
job
I
through
think
those
that's always
corners. One
just
left
kind
for
of
her.
the big key when you go to a 3-day and you have an 11-minute cross-country course. I think a lot of the questions you see are going to be fairly similar, but
Well,
you go to that
next out
5-star
on
and
course
it's just going to
is a
last
horse
for
that
5 minutes
Equiratings
longer.
is predicted to be one of the
And
fastest in the
and the
field.
questions are relentless.
Galway
so it's
Sunrise and
just a
Felicia
matter of
Barr
keeping your horse's confidence
coming
up
into
and
state on a
making
score
sure they're
of
fit enough, and
52.6,
they're
31st
not
place.
feeling too fatigued when you get to the later
Daniel
questions.
now back at the Cloud
but
11 Montrose
like these
Pool.
drops that you see here, they're probably. I think at the 5-star level they can be a couple inches bigger, but a lot of times you won't see anything bigger because Ian Stark uses
Just got word in
the
that
maximum
Zoe
of
was
what
26
the,
seconds over.
what the
Like
level
Dan just did that
allows,
first
is what,
water as
what
well
his
as anyone
drops are going
we've
to be
seen
on
all
the
day.
course. So, you know, also with that bank that everybody was talking about, I think that's probably about as big a bank as you're going to see. I think it's got to be the maximum within the levels dimensions.
Nicely through the Fisher Park equestrian brushes for Felicia and Galloway Sunrise.
Yeah, they're
But
just galloping for
going
fun right now.
forward, I don't think we're done preparing yet.
Mentioning earlier
the
today
last
how much they've opened up
pre-run
the
on my
gallop
calendar
lanes,
would
and it's
be
all seated
the 4-star
beautifully,
at Fairhill,
it's
and
much more open galloping
that
course.
is
It looks just spectacular
just a
out there
week
today. This
before
park
you
has
leave
done
for Kentucky.
everything
So
in
it's
their
the
power to
latest
turn this
event that
venue into
anybody can
just
go
so
to.
beautiful.
But my line of thinking with that has always been that
Footing is good.
in preparation for the Maryland Hunt Cup, the Hunt Cup
They've got
horses
the whole
run a
package.
3-mile
They've got
race the
good
week before.
dressage
So
judges, good senior,
you know,
knowledgeable dressage judges.
we've done a lot of fitness
They've got a
work, but
great
we
show
have built
jumping
it
course
slow.
designer in Mark
And I think,
Donovan.
you know,
They've
you
got a
want
great
to,
cross-country
when you talk
designer.
about those kind
I
of
mean,
physical
when you get
exertions,
here
you want
that
to
you're going to be
run
held to a
from,
high standard,
you
but
know, a
it's
very
gonna be
broad
good standard,
base,
it's
and then
gonna
you
be
want to
fair
sharpen it
standard.
to a point.
And it's
And I
worth
think
the trip.
when you
All the
run
horses come off better.
when you run a
having
horse
run around these
trials,
courses.
that close to the event, I think you're putting that last
Felicia now, clear over
dash
9, and she's going to be
of
making her
fitness
way
on the top of
to
them.
10, the North State.
But by that point,
bank
we
on it.
will have backed off the mileage.
New
So even though you've
combination
run an
here on the
event,
cross country
hopefully
this year.
you're still
The video doesn't
somehow
do it
freshening
justice, but
the
a
legs, even
massive
though you've been increasing the
Normandy
intensity.
bank. Daniel
You know,
towards the end
the
of his
total
course.
miles that we'll be doing at that point
He's
will
just
be
got
in
two
the
corners.
decline. So
Yeah.
hopefully he'll be getting fresher and fresher as we pull into Kentucky.
Yeah, see that he's underpaced there. I mean, he's not underpaced. He's under the speed there, and it's quite a long time that he's below the speed. And the problem, every time you go below the speed, you have to go above the speed.
Gotta make up
in
for
order
it. That's
to
right.
average the speed.
So here we have a